Welcome, brave souls, to Fearfile Chronicles, your one-way ticket to spine-chilling stories and terrifying tales. Tonight, we'll be diving into the darkest corners of the human mind with the story. I was born and raised in a cult. When I escaped, I learned that their beliefs were real. Part 5, Pinned by the Twisted Mind of Adamantius. Together, we'll explore the unexplained and face our deepest fears. But before we begin, if you enjoy trembling in terror, be sure to hit that like button. Share this video with your fellow fear fanatics and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click the bell notification so you never miss an eerie episode. Your support truly means the world to us, so feel free to leave a comment below to join the Fearfile Chronicles community. Now, without further ado, let's unravel the mysteries of the unknown together as we delve into tonight's fear-inducing story. I was born and raised in a cult. When I escaped, I learned that their beliefs were real. Part 5. Dim the lights and prepare yourself for a chilling journey into the Fearfile Chronicles. I woke up to Luna making her bed. She had already put on her clothes, and her hair was freshly brushed. I got the sense that she was trying to get out of the house before I woke up, and I wasn't sure if that was because she wanted to let me sleep, or so that she wouldn't have to deal with me. The latter seemed more plausible. As I got up, she immediately gave me a stern look and quickly exited the room, leaving one corner of the bedspread untucked.
"You're not leaving without Allison, are you?"
said her mom.
"She's still sleeping,"
I heard Luna half whisper. Her mom barged into the room and saw me sitting up on the bed.
"Luna will take you to breakfast,"
she said, then turned to face the hallway.
"Won't you, Luna?"
I put on my shoes and darted out of the house. Luna was slouching against the wall, her fingers pulling on the skin of her arm absent-mindedly. Once she saw me, she immediately turned around and started walking. I followed her, keeping myself a few paces back to give her space. The food hall was essentially just a big tent made of army green tarps knotted together to form one giant roof held up by rusted beams. And on its far end was a shack that operated as the kitchen. Once we'd gotten breakfast, which was a torn piece of bread and a bowl of grayish gruel for each, Luna escorted me to some rocks nearby, where we sat to eat. I hadn't felt hunger in so long, but once I got that first bite of bread into my mouth, I couldn't stop eating. Luna kept quiet, so it seemed to serve her well that I could barely take breaths in between bites, let alone try to spark up a conversation. Everything faded away, and all I could think, feel, or do was eat. The gruel was exactly the same as it was back home, monotonous, sticky, and slightly salty. But it might as well have been a festive stew with succulent meat and soft carrots and black pepper. When you're hungry enough, anything will taste like heaven. After I was done with my meal, and I could have eaten twice the amount I had, my spirits were slightly lifted. My arms and legs had a newfound reserve of energy, and there was finally something to look forward to. The next meal, so uplifted I was that I decided to bother Luna. This place is kinda like my home. Well, almost exactly like it. Luna turned to me with fury in her eyes. She was still eating, and with her mouth full of gruel, she said,
"Shut up."
Some of the gruel shot out and splattered on the rocks, which looked kind of funny, but I didn't laugh. She gulped violently, forcing her mouth to empty its contents. Almost whispering, she said,
"You can't talk about that."
"Why not?"
"None of the other kids know. About your home, I mean, and they can't know."
"But you know about it."
"Yes, I do."
"How?" She sighed and set the bowl on her lap.
"John made this announcement, like that you're a foster child or something, that you were rescued from the outside world and that we need to keep you safe here. You're like some wounded puppy that needed saving."
"And you don't believe that?"
"Do you want to know, or are you going to let me finish?"
"Sorry." Sighing again, she said,
After that, John came to our house and told me that he needs me to look after you. He said that you're from another place like this, and that he trusts me enough to tell me all this and keep you in check. Basically, he said that I need to keep you from talking your mouth off about your home and whatever other deranged ramblings you might have, and to oversee that you don't try to jump the fence. I guess my parents already knew all that, since he only gave this spiel to me. Look, I know that things aren't as John and the rest of the elders say. I'm not stupid, even though John probably thinks I am. I don't talk much, and I guess that makes me look stupid. According to him, anyway.
She then continued eating, which I took as a sign that I wasn't going to interrupt her. And you said you'll do that? After another big gulp, she said,
On account of him saying that he'd hurt my mom if I didn't, yes?
I'm sorry. She didn't reply. We sat silently until she finished her breakfast. After taking our plates back to the food hall, we started walking back to her house. And once there was nobody else in earshot, I said, You know it's possible to get out of here, right?
I know.
Why haven't you done it then?
I'm not gonna leave my mom.
Why can't you take her with you? Luna's frustration finally boiled over. She stomped in front of me, forcing me to stop walking and look into her eyes.
How'd that work out for you, smartass? Where's your mom? What about your dad? Why are you back in a place like the one you just came from, if it's so fucking easy?
With that, she stormed off. I didn't follow her. I went back to sit on the rocks. Besides Luna's house, it was the only familiar spot I had in this new place. I didn't dare or want to talk to anyone else. And besides, everyone seemed to look at me funny, like I was sick or something. I didn't know what to do. So I just sat and stared at nothing, waiting for lunch. Later, Luna came back. She sat down next to me and joined me in my staring.
What are you looking at?
She asked. Nothing in particular. Just waiting for lunch, I guess.
Today's beans and carrot cake, I think. I kinda like it.
I kept quietly staring.
So, did you just fuck up your escape or what?
She asked as she picked up a small rock and started throwing it from one hand to the other. Sorta. Yeah, I guess. It's a long story, but yeah. They caught me. Once they brought me here, John said that he needs me to keep watch of the other kids, so they don't try to escape as well.
And I'm to watch over you, so you won't escape. John's a fucker. A dumb fucker, but a fucker anyway.
I chuckled. Luna was quiet for a while, throwing the rock higher and higher with each pass.
Look, I'm sorry. About earlier, I guess I thought you were with John and the elders or something. The truth is, I do want to get out.
She threw the rock into the distance and turned to face me.
You're the first person I've ever told that. It's just, I can't leave without my mom. Dad, sure. Fuck him. He's like a mini John. He actually wants to be like him. One of the elders, But my mom's done nothing wrong. She's a bit harsh sometimes, but she's always taken good care of me. Actually listens to me, you know.
Why haven't you told her about wanting to get out?
I don't know. I guess I'm scared she wouldn't want to, and then maybe something bad would happen to me, or her.
Well, I can try to help you. Help you both.
How exactly?
I'll figure something out. I did it once already, remember?
What about your parents? Did they escape as well?
The word parents sent a painful sting to my midriff, twisting my insides. Do I still have parents, or are they no longer your parents if they die? Do I get to decide? Can I erase their memory as parents if I so choose? No, they never escaped.
I'm sorry.
Luna said. Lunch finally arrived. The carrot cake tasted a lot sweeter here. I think it might have had something to do with the soil or the water. Maybe it's different here. The ravaging food-induced fulfillment I'd experienced during breakfast didn't return, but at least I got to eat more. It calmed me down and allowed me to think. That evening, Luna even told me goodnight. I was glad to be on her side. Once everyone in the house had fallen asleep, I snuck out of bed, carrying my shoes as I tiptoed my way outside. Once I had my shoes on, I beelined for the nearest part of the fence and started to look for broken wires and other weak spots. The thought occurred to me that those bird viewers Elder Alston had shown me, live feeds as they called them, might be around here as well. But I hoped the cover of darkness would suffice to keep me out of their reach. And maybe nobody was watching anyway. I found a section of fence that was looser than the rest. I prodded a stick I'd found on the ground between the wires and twisted it, going over each diamond-shaped hole until the wires started to come apart. I sat there for a while, trying to be as quiet as I could until I'd formed a sizable hole at the bottom of the fence. It was barely big enough for me and Luna to fit through. But if we were to get her mom to come with us, I'd need to come back and widen it. My arm started hurting from all the twisting, and it became increasingly hard to work the fence. I decided to leave it be and come back the next night. After that, it should be ready. I sneaked my way back to the house and took my shoes off before I clambered up the steps to the front door. Once I opened it, it wasn't dark inside like it had been when I'd left. Instead, in the glimmering light of an oil lamp, stood Elder John.
"Come on in, Allison,"
he gestured. He closed the door behind me and escorted me to Luna's bedroom. Between our beds stood Luna, tucked between her parents. She was crying, looking at the ground. John pushed me to stand next to Luna as her parents retreated alongside John, blocking the doorway. Luna's dad stared at us, reminding me of a twinge of the rage my dad had exuded before. My stomach twisted again. Her mom looked glum, and she seemed to look to John for cues on how to behave, how to approach the situation in the right way.
"Luna told me everything. I thought we had an agreement,"
said John, his gaze fixated on me.
"Did you really think that you could pull this again? That we wouldn't know? I hoped that you were a smart girl."
It was my fault,"
Luna said, her voice coming in short bursts between erratic, sobbing breaths.
"I should have kept my eye on her, like you said, Elder John."
John scoffed.
"I'm disappointed in both of you. You've let me down immensely. Now, I'm not one to usually condone corporal punishment, but I need to teach you somehow. You need to learn that lying, escaping, and leaving the others is not true love. It's the farthest thing from it, and it is not what the one true God wills of us. Do you understand that?"
We nodded.
"Good. But I think you need to be reminded of your actions against true love, against us. Fred?"
Luna's dad stepped forward, and in his hand was a rope tied over itself to resemble a collar. He put it around Luna's neck and tightened it until her breath came out in sore puffs.
"Put your head under the bed,"
he said. Luna sobbed and looked her dad in the eyes. She didn't say anything, but her hands were starting to tremble.
"Do it now."
Luna jumped from fright like a deer and quickly, shakily, laid down on the floor on her belly and crawled until her head was under the bed frame. Fred placed the end of the collar on my hand like it was a leash. He then picked me up and stood me on Luna's bed. He was strong, and his hands squeezed me so hard my skin was twisted. I could hear Luna's muffled sobs underneath.
"Now, I want you to pull as hard as you can,"
John said. Feigning my strength, I pulled the rope just enough for Luna's head to slightly bump on the hard wooden edge of the bed frame.
"Come on, Allison. The way you were twisting that fence open, I know you're stronger than that. Pull again."
And I did. Slightly harder. Luna's head made a nasty clopping sound as it hit the bed, and a vile, squishy sound as it dropped back down.
"Again, harder."
And I did again, harder. Luna let out a scream and tried to cover her head with her hands, but Fred quickly jumped in and pulled them back, putting his feet over each hand so she couldn't move them.
"Do it again."
I pulled as hard as I could muster, hoping that it would simply knock Luna out and we could be done with this. I wanted to scream, "I'm sorry," but I knew it would only fuel John's sadism. Luna's head hit the bed so hard I could feel it vibrate, which was almost immediately ensued by a scrunching, wet sound as her head dropped back to the floor. After that, I couldn't do it anymore. Everything in my body wanted to twist up inside myself, and I would rather have taken Luna's place and be smashed to a pulp instead of doing it again. I let go of the leash and expected to be punished for it. Fred stepped off from Luna's hands. She didn't move them, or her head. She just lay there, and I was sure I had just killed her. And I would be next. Fred pulled her limp body out and flipped her over. Her face was covered in blood, and the bruises were already starting to appear under the skin. Luna's mom hurried to get some water and splashed it on her face. She started coughing and slowly opened her eyes halfway. She was alive. I glanced at John. He was smiling, staring at Luna, entranced by the sight of her mangled face, as if he'd been alerted back into reality by an invisible, soundless bell. His chin rose up and he looked at me with puzzlement in his eyes, like he'd just woken up from a really nice dream.
Just remember, I love you both so much,
he said, his eyes wide with excitement. John nodded at Fred, a statutory sign of approval between men, and then exited the building like he couldn't contain his stature as a calm, reverent elder any longer. He looked like he was going to burst into song. As I sat down on my bed, Luna's mom came in with rags and more water. She started cleaning Luna's face, whispering to her as she did so. Soon she had gathered a pile of bloody rags next to the bed, and finally she helped Luna to a sitting position on the bed. Her face was bumpy and purple, and even after all those rags, there was still a wound on her forehead that leaked blood down to her eyes. I tried to look at her, to somehow signal that I was so sorry, that I don't deserve her forgiveness. But she wouldn't look at me. She just stared at the ground, her arms limp beside her. And that's what I deserved. Her mom strapped one of the rags around her head to cover the bleeding wound. She brought her some drinking water, and she winced with each sip. Once Luna was cleaned up, she laid her down on her side and started cleaning up the rags from the floor, using some to suck up the puddle of blood under the bed. Once she was finished, she sat down next to Luna and stroked her arm gently. Her face was achingly devoid of emotion, but I could see tears rolling down her cheeks. Luna soon closed her eyes and her mom left without even looking at me. Closing the door behind her, the ensuing silence was unbearable. I wanted to scream. We laid in our beds for a long while. Listening to her breath, I knew Luna wasn't sleeping. She just laid there, and I didn't dare say a word. I couldn't sleep either. I didn't feel like I deserved to rest.
Allison?
Luna said hoarsely, awakening me from my exhausted, hypnagogic trance. Her voice was calm, yet somehow broken. Yes.
Can you come over here?
I sat on the bed next to her, like her mom had. Whatever she was going to say, I deserved it. She could. She should. Curse me to the ground, and then some. I was ready to steal Fred's leash and make Luna punish me. But then, something completely unknown and unexpected happened. She took my hand. She was too tired to hold it tightly, but I could feel that she tried to. I squeezed back gently and began to cry.
I didn't tell John.
She said, I know.
I'm really sorry, Allison.
I wiped the tears from my face and said, No, you don't get to say sorry. I'm the one that's sorry. It's my fault, all of this. I shouldn't have gone out. It was stupid of me. So fucking stupid.
It's okay,
Luna said.
What else could you have done? He would have just punished us more if you hadn't done what he said.
I stroked her hand softly with my thumb.
My dad's a dick.
I couldn't help but let out a chortling laugh, which I quickly suppressed with a fist in my mouth. Everything had been so serious, life and death. And here was this bloodied and mangled girl who said that her dad's a dick. It was such a mild word to use. So right, yet completely unreflecting of the true evil surrounding us. I guess it was wrong to laugh, but Luna quickly joined in. She went between chuckles and saying, Ow, since moving any muscles in her face seemed to hurt. But we laughed together, and her hand felt warm, and I squeezed it tighter, and so did she. Once our laughter subsided, I said, "My dad was a dick too." Luna let out a laugh through her nose, avoiding the use of her facial muscles, and asked,
"What happened to him?"
"He died."
Good.
Good. Luna scooched to the far edge of the tiny bed and pulled me down towards her. She put her arm over me, and I could feel her breath sync up with mine as we lay there, nestled together. At some point, I started to fall asleep, and I no longer wished to die. Tomorrow was no longer empty. There was breakfast, and then there was Luna. Well, my friends, we've reached the end of tonight's chilling tale. I was born and raised in a cult. When I escaped, I learned that their beliefs were real. Part 5 by the talented Adamansius. I hope you've enjoyed our descent into darkness, and that you'll carry a piece of the Fear File Chronicles with you as you drift into uneasy dreams. If our story left you shivering and shaking, don't forget to like this video. Share it with others who crave a good scare, and subscribe to the Fear File Chronicles for more haunting horrors. Remember to hit the bell notification so you're always among the first to know when a new nightmare awaits. As always, we appreciate your support and would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Sharing your fears and frights with us truly means a lot, so don't be shy to engage with our sinister community. Until next time, remember to embrace the darkness, for it is within the shadows that our most terrifying stories are born. Good night, and stay scared.